Hey, what's going on, guys? Andrew here with another six-figure success story. Hope everyone's day is going well. On the other side of the camera, I have Richard Naranjo. Richard is based down in Austin, Texas, a really awesome tech scene. So, how you doing, Richard?
I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
I am doing well. I'm doing pretty well with with everything going on in the world right now. So thank you. Thanks for taking some time out of your job lunch break to share your story. Um, so kind of hopping into it, Richard, is talk about where you were before Prehired. What were you? What did your career consist of before you actually enrolled in Prehired?
So I was doing sales. I've been in sales for quite a while. I started in outside sales and then ventured off into inside sales, retail. Was actually doing quite well, but I wanted a bit more in terms of holidays, weekends off, those kinds of things. So
hmm and I know we've spoke about that because you were in furniture sales most recently before, correct?
yes,
And so for you, nights, weekends, holidays, those did not exist for you, right?
absolutely not. I can't. Before getting this new job, I couldn't remember the last time I had a weekend off or a holiday, let alone paid. So.
So was that your biggest kind of motivator to look into a new career like software sales, or were there some other things as well, let's say growth opportunities, money, maybe just kind of bored at work, any of those, some of kind of the challenges or struggles that you faced before pre-hard?
I wouldn't say so much necessarily like the money, because money is good in sales as long as you're good, but
Yeah.
definitely some of the other aspects. Really just wanted to find some place that, treated you not just like another number, like a person. And
hmm
in terms of everything that I was already doing in my career, and then adding in the aspect of, you know, paid time off and
hmm
things like that, where you're actually getting benefits, you're being treated well. That was very appealing to me. So software was going to be where it was at.
Got it. And what made you think of software? Like, how did that pop up into your mind of, hey, I want to do something else. Let me look into software.
Well, I had it in my head for quite a few years that I wasn't wanted to go into either software sales or medical sales, and
Okay.
both of those are very, very good in terms of perks and benefits, and then monetarily as well. So I had gotten into a company doing medical sales, and as soon as I got into the onboarding process with HR, they went on a hiring freeze, and
Oh,
they told me to apply the following year. So I went ahead and did it the following year. Got hired again with the same company and same situation. They
oh
went on
wow.
hiring freeze right when I was onboarding. So I kind of took that as the universe's way to tell me that, hey, okay, software is going to be the way to go. So either one would have been satisfactory to me, but I decided to look into software. So I had seen pre-hired, in my email here and there.
hmm
I was always keeping my mind open for other opportunities. And at first, I was a little bit skeptical just because the company at that time, I think, was pretty new. So I
hmm
kept on keeping up with them, checking in on them. And then finally, I started seeing some articles about them in some business journals and things like that. And I was like, okay, you know what? Now is about the time to make the jump because they're getting some, notoriety behind them.
Got it. Got it. So for you, obviously, you got into medical sales twice, but it didn't work out. Did you ever actually try and break into software sales though, or it was just in the back of your mind, but you never really made the jump or tried to make the jump?
You know what? It had always been in the back of my mind. And there were many times when I wanted to go ahead and just throw my hat into the pile, if you will, for that. But I
hmm
just was kind of nervous with all the sales experience that I've had and things like that. I shouldn't have been nervous at all, but I really wanted some kind of backbone and structure and some introduction into the field first before I
Got it.
put my skill behind me, because I can go in and I can, have all the skill behind me. I can get hired, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I would do well as I would if I
Yeah.
had some kind of structure behind me. So I really kind of did it to push myself ahead once I did get in, and
hmm
kind of to give me that backbone, if you will.
Makes sense. That makes sense. So obviously that's why, you looked at pre-art saying, hey, this is going to give me that skill set, even though I have a lot of sales experience, this is going to be the specific skill set, that will hopefully, get me into the space. So you mentioned obviously you've kind of Prehired was on your radar for a while. There were some hesitations though, and it sounds like really those were just maybe seeing that it's kind of new, unsure of what hey, is this legit or not? Is that kind of what your biggest hesitations were? That word scam, is that kind of what maybe how you were feeling?
Not really. I knew that Prehired was kind of legit off the bat, but when you're newer, I mean, you increase and better your curriculum as you go along. So in terms of that, I wanted to kind of see like some of the outcomes of some of the students, and eventually, if you're doing a great job, you're going to get talked about. So I think I waited till the right time. I believe,
Hmm.
like I said, curriculum increases, you learn how to do new things as you're bettering yourself. So I think I got on at the right time.
Got it. Okay, so you believe you were legit from the beginning. You just wanted to make sure. Okay, let's make sure they have a couple reps under their belt. I don't want to be the first one going in. I'd like to see these results. So what then kind of pushed you over the edge? To finally say, hey, this is it. Talking to your advisor, let's get going. What were those things that gave you the green light?
I had been doing well in work, and I had been asked because I was doing so well to go into a management role at one of my previous companies. And I, listened to our regional vice president, and he was like, "Hey, you're doing so well in sales. Why don't you go into management?" And I stepped in there, and I loved the job. I loved being able to use my skill in sales to go ahead and help out more than just myself. And it was really nice, but the money was not even close to what it was in sales. So it was from that point on that I kind of was like looking. And then I decided to make a career change from there, and left because I had a district manager that I wasn't particularly fond of. And at that point, I had pretty much the freedom, to go into any field I wanted. And for some reason, that safety net that you always go to what's comfortable, I went into another retail space, and it was okay, but I didn't like it. So just reinforcing from that previous job when I had the ability to go into something new, and I decided to play it safe and go into what I knew. I was from that point on just looking and looking. I think from the first month that I was in that new space, even though I did like it, it was, business as usual. I made the jump to, make my appointment with the pre-hired advisor, and started from there. I think
Got
it
it.
was, yeah, pretty much maybe the first month and a half.
Okay. And I guess specifically, talking to your advisor, maybe in that kind of actual, you have that conversation with them. What what were those things like compared to when you maybe first came across us? What were those things that said, hey, this is legit after talking to an advisor, like I am good to go? What were those things that maybe sold you or eased your hesitations?
I would say probably the fact that it wasn't just everybody's in, like it wasn't a free for all.
Yeah.
Really like kind of interviewed me for a spot, if you will, because
Yep.
you're only taking so many per month, because you have a reputation behind you and you want to have people that are going to succeed and actually better your reputation. So I would say that's the thing that really got me on board. I thought it was just going to be a standard, process, fill out the forms, talk about the funding, if you will, and just have a spot. And I really, throughout that process, I was like, okay, did I get in? Did I not get in? And
Yeah.
I kind of like that fact that it was a process to get in, and everyone was not just accepted. So
Exactly. Yeah, and for everyone listening, the reason why we do that, we're not just hey, sign up, everyone gets to come in. Is just, you kind of hit the nail on the head. We want to make sure you're successful. Obviously with our model of an ISA of an income share agreement, Richard, you didn't have to pay anything until you got hired. Now that you're hired and you're making money, hey, we're gonna reap those benefits as well. If we just accepted everybody, it'd be a mess. So we're very specific, very and honestly, even when you went through, we've gotten even more specific, more, just we really tightened up the admissions process even more to make sure that we get those right people because we want people to be successful and we can only work with a certain amount. And we want those people that are going to be all in and get the job done. So for you, so going through the program, you're in now. What were some of the things that you enjoyed most? One or two takeaways. After getting to go through the program, maybe it's a tool you learned, or a methodology, or Whatever it may be, what were probably your biggest takeaways from the program that you enjoyed?
I would say probably just because I'm a salesman at heart, a lot of the sales strategies and different ways of thinking compared to what I've learned in the past. And in addition to that, definitely like learning the programs. I will tell you that most of what we learned in the program is what we're using right now. So we use HubSpot. We're not using Interstellar. We are using Zoom, Sales Navigator, all those kinds of things. And it was just really refreshing to come in and already have that skill behind me. And just instead of learning the program as a whole, I was just learning coming into this new position how they specifically use it versus starting from scratch. So I feel like it was a great tool and skill for me to come in and pretty much hit the ground running. So
But I'm guessing you probably felt like you had a leg up on maybe other people that were hired at your time, just because of that thing alone, I'd imagine.
I would say so. And actually, I got hired through a partner company through you guys. So that was really great. Made that connection for me and it really paid off. But in addition to that, I think just because of my sales background and then definitely the background from Prehired, I actually got bumped up from the entry level role that was being offered to a position that was probably about a year ahead. So that puts me closer to an account executive role, probably within 9 months to a year, whereas I would have spent maybe a year and a half, almost two, trying to get to that role.
And yeah, that's jumping ahead to obviously the results you got. I mean, for everyone listening, Richard got hired by a partner company, which means we partner up with these different companies and they look to pre-hire to hire our members. And it's really cool because it's for our members, it's we vet these companies, we know they're good. Me and Richard were talking before the call that he loves the company, the people, everyone's amazing there. So we make sure that you guys are going to be the great companies that pay well, that have a great culture, great sales process, just a great tool, everything overall. But also, sometimes you can skip a step. And in this case, I don't think you skipped an interview step, but because of Prehired and your background, a combination of both, most people would have started off, SDR1. You were basically able to start as SDR2, which is really cool. I think, if there wasn't Prehired, I think you would have probably started at the first SDR, which is a great benefit of being working with our partnership team. So let's talk a little more about the hiring process, about you going through that search. How well prepared did you feel for these interviews?
I felt pretty well prepared. I've always been a great interview taker
Mm-hmm.
in general, but versus any other kind of company, different industries, things like that, the tech industry is a little bit different. You have your normal interviews. You're probably going to be interviewing with more people than you normally would in any other industry, but typically you have some kind of skill test or task or something like that that you have to do like right at the end. And I would say had it not been for Prehired and obviously you guys helping me out and doing interview prep and those kind of task preps like in advance of the interviews and pretty much being available like on the fly, I think it would have been a much more difficult process for me uh,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of being prepared and also nerves, because had you
Yeah.
not talked me through it, sometimes when you get thrown a curveball and you are prepared, you mentally it throws you off and you just
Mm-hmm.
might mess up or you might not do as well as you normally would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bring up a really good point, of saying the tech industry is a lot different of an interview process than, any other sales. A lot of sales and, let's say specifically commission only, it's like one interview, maybe two, because, there's not really a risk for them to hire. It's, hey, cool, you got the job. All right, awesome, cool. But with tech, it's like, if it's only one or even two interviews, it's kind of a red flag. Like minimum, you're probably going to have three, four, maybe even five. I have a guy that I think he's on a sixth interview with the company right now. It's so competitive and they want the best candidate that they really take their time. And I think that's something that surprises a lot of people that they've never really experienced it before. They have their one interview and they think they're good to go. And, really it's, you have your first round with that recruiter, you might have another phone screening with the manager, then a panel interview, and then maybe even one more. And all along the way, there might be a couple assignments. So I think we do a pretty good job of making sure you are well prepared and helping you out with those different assignments so you can master them. And obviously you did that. Um, so for you, a couple more questions. I know we talked about some things that you enjoyed in the program. Is there anything on the flip side that you can think of that maybe we could do a little better, or some suggestions?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I just feel like anytime I might have had any kind of question or anything that kind of was on my mind, I most of the time didn't even have to ask. You guys were
Mhm.
just, one step ahead and was like, hey, how are you doing with this? Or it seems like you might be struggling with that. And I mean, yeah, I really can't think of anything off the top of my head that would say something that I would change or anything
Yeah.
like that because I feel very prepared, after leaving the program.
That's good. That's good. Well, those are always good things to hear. And then last question is, who would you recommend our program to? I mean, we're the first one to say that this is not for everybody. Like you saw, our admissions process is very rigorous and very strict, and we only accept a small percentage. So there's a lot of people that we can't unfortunately help. Maybe not now, maybe later on, but a lot of people. So who would you recommend pre-hired to?
I would say anybody that is motivated, is tired of their current career choice, anybody that's in a position where they don't feel appreciated or they feel like a number, or anybody that's trying to better their life. Those are the kind of people that would definitely benefit from the program. I truly believe you're going to get out of the program what you put into it. And if
Yep.
you're willing to work hard and you want to change your situation, then this program is definitely for you.
Exactly, exactly. I agree. We want people that are 100% committed. It's not going to work if you put 50% in. So, with all that being said, Richard, I'm very happy. I'm super excited. You landed a really cool job at an awesome company, and I'm excited to hear how, the rest of your career takes off. So,
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here and happy to have gone through the